You're watching the Fact Flash and welcome back to tonight's headliner. India is the world's largest democracy. That line gets repeated so often that it almost feels like background noise. But here's the twist. What really makes India the largest democracy isn't just its population of 1.4 billion, it's the absolute chaos of its politics. Do you know how many registered political parties India has? As of 2024 last year, more than 2,800 parties are registered with the Election Commission. Out of these, only about 60 are recognized as either national or state level parties. Everyone else? Well, they are part of the great Indian political buffet. Now compare this to the United States. Two parties dominate, Democrats and Republicans. In the UK, it's Conservatives versus Labour, with a couple of smaller players. But India, it's a circus. You have the big guys, Bharatiya Janata Party, Indian National Congress, CPI, Aam Aadmi Party. Then you have state parties, DMK, AIADMK, TMC, Shiv Sena, Samajwadi Party, BSP, TRS. And then you have those local wonders like parties that exist only in one district, one caste, or literally around one single leader. So why? Why does India breed so many political parties? Let's break it down tonight. So the story begins in 1947. At independence, the Indian National Congress (INC) was the dominant political force. It had led the freedom movement, it had leaders across every single state, and it had the organizational muscle to govern. For the first 2 decades, India looked like a one-party system in disguise. In 1952, the first general election, Congress won by 364 out of 489 seats. By 1957, it was even stronger, winning 371 seats. But here's the thing. India was too diverse to stay under one umbrella for long. The cracks started to show by the late 1960s. Regional leaders who felt neglected by the central leadership started forming their own outfits, add to their caste identities, language moments, and local pride. And you have the recipe for fragmentation. Language has been one of the biggest reasons for the explosion of parties. Now take Tamil Nadu in 1960s, when the central government tried to impose Hindi as the sole national language, Tamil Nadu erupted. The Dravidian movement turned into political power, giving rise to DMK and later on AIADMK. Now these parties, they still dominate the state today, pushing Indian National Congress and Bharatiya Janata Party to the margins. Similar stories played out in Andhra Pradesh with the Telugu Desam Party, in Punjab with the Akali Dal, in Bengal with Trinamool Congress. Language and regional identity became a political weapon and parties grew out of it. Now let's add caste. India's social structure has always been deeply tied to caste. For centuries, caste defined status, profession, and power. Post-independence, politics became a way of marginalized caste to assert themselves. In Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, you see this very clearly. The Samajwadi Party, it grew out of Yadav caste politics. The Bahujan Samaj Party was built on Dalit assertion inspired by Kashi Ram and Mayawati. In Bihar, Lalu Prasad Yadav's RJD emerged as the voice of backward castes. Each caste found its own champion, and each champion created a party. So instead of national parties absorbing caste identities, India went the other way. Caste carved out political outfits. Now here's another factor. India's constitution. We're a federal republic, which means states have a lot of power. Unlike in many other countries. Indian states control police, law and order, agriculture, local governance. Naturally, regional leaders, they realized that controlling the state government was just as powerful as sitting in Delhi. Now this gave rise to strong regional parties. Mamata Banerjee's TMC in Bengal, KCR's BRS in Telangana, Naveen Pathak's BJD in Odisha. They don't need Delhi to survive. They thrive by controlling their own states. And in politics, they become kingmakers. India is not a homogeneous country. It's a subcontinent packed into one nation. Different languages, religions, castes, tribes, economic classes all coexist. uneasily. Politics in India, therefore, mirrors this diversity. Every community wants its voice, its leader, its party. Think about it. In Kerala, politics revolves around left versus Congress. In Bengal, it's TMC versus BJP. In Punjab, it's Aam Aadmi Party versus Akadis versus Congress. In UP, it's BJP versus SP versus BSP. In Tamil Nadu, it's DMK versus AIADMK. Each state looks like its own little political planet. Now let's talk numbers. The Election Commission of India has a very open policy for registering all the parties. All you need is 100 members and a constitution of your party. That's it. You're in. This is why so many small outfits exist. Most of them never win a single seat, but they serve as vehicles for local leaders or even for helping in election funds. And then comes recognition. To be a state party, you need 6% of the vote in that state plus 2 legislative seats or 3% of assembly seats or 1 Lok Sabha seat. To be a political party, you need 6% of votes in 4 states and 4 Lok Sabha seats or recognition in 4 states or 2% of Lok Sabha seats from at least 3 states. Now this system means lots of parties float around but very few make it to the big league. As of now, only 6 parties are recognized as national. 1, of course, the Bharatiya Janata Party. 2, of course, the Congress. Then BSP, then CPI, then CPIM and NCP. Another reason India has so many parties is coalition politics. Since 1989, India has rarely had a single party dominate outright, except in 2014 and 2019 with BJP. For decades before that, governments were formed in coalitions. From VP Singh's National Front to Manmohan Singh's UPA, every prime minister needed allies. They gave small regional parties disproportionate power. Think DMK, TDP, SP, RJD parties that control less than 30 seats suddenly became kingmakers in Delhi. This encouraged even more leaders to float their own parties, hoping to cash on coalition bargaining. And let's not forget, politics in India is a big business. Parties means access to power, contracts, jobs, funds. Leaders who don't get tickets in national parties often break away from their own. It's like corporate spin-offs. Congress, for example, has birthed dozens of splinter outfits. Trinamool Congress, NCP, YSR Congress, to name a few. Bharatiya Janata Party too has faced its own shares of rebels. Now, is this fragmentation good or bad? That's the bigger question. On the one hand, it gives representation to diverse voices. On the other hand, it creates instability. Remember the 1990s? India had 4 prime ministers in 6 years. VP Singh, Chandrasekhar, HD Dev Gowda, IK Gujral, all thanks to fractured mandates. Governments, they fell overnight because one small ally withdrew support. Even today, state-level politics often falls prey to house trading. Maharashtra saw 3 governments in a single term. Can you imagine? Karnataka, famous for resort politics, where MLAs are herded into luxury hotels to prevent defections. Too many parties also mean too much opponents. The future. So where does all of this go? Is India doomed to 1,000 parties forever? Maybe not. In the last decade, Bharatiya Janata Party emerged as one single force, almost like Congress in the 1950s, but regional parties still hold ground. Mamta in Bengal, Stalin in Tamil Nadu, Kejriwal in Delhi and Punjab, Jagan in Andhra Pradesh, none of them look like they are going away soon. In fact, if anything, new parties keep cropping up. Farmers' protests that we saw in Delhi, they gave birth to new outfits in Punjab. Young leaders like Prashant Kishore are coming up with the idea of launching their own parties. And every election, dozens of new parties register with the Election Commission. So yes, India may never have a 2-party system. The diversity of this country ensures we'll always have a crowded ballot paper. At the end of the day, the answer to why India has so many political parties is very simple. Because India itself is many Indias rolled into one. Every state, every caste, every community wants a slice of power, and the Constitution allows them to chase it. Is it messy? Absolutely. But maybe that's what a democracy looks like in a country as complex as ours. Loud, chaotic, fractured, but alive. And that's why Indian elections are not just a vote. They are a festival of identities, of contradictions, of ambitions, and in this festival, there's always a room for one more party. On this note, let us know what you think about this in the comments section. Thank you and good night.